Hi guys! Welcome back to another episode of our life seasons where we talk about the different seasons of life and the life lessons that we grow through. So, before anything else, I just want to say that this setup here, if you're watching the video version, this setup here is actually the last setup that you're gonna be seeing before I head to the States in 4 days' time. So I'm super excited. I don't know if you can feel it, but I'm super excited for this trip. Like I mentioned in the previous few episodes that I think this trip is a trip that I know I'm gonna change so much. I know I'm gonna be able to share so much more during this trip because it's my first ever solo trip. I mean, my few trips were actually I have my brother with me or I have friends with me, so it didn't felt like a solo trip. But this trip is really a solo trip. Even though I'll be meeting some of my friends there, but it's only 1 or 2 days, and I'll be there for 3 weeks. So the entire majority of the time, I will actually be alone and I can't wait. Honestly, I really can't wait to see what's going to be happening because intuitively, I know that I will be changing so much. Like coming back from this trip, I'm going to be such a different person. I'm going to be learning lessons that I'm able to share with you guys, and I just hope that you guys will actually find it helpful like the previous few episodes, because I do have some people reaching out to me telling me that you guys actually appreciate this, and I'm so grateful that you find it helpful, that you actually listen to the 30 minutes episode, 1 hour episode of me just rambling on and on. But basically, today's episode, I'm gonna be talking about a new season of my life, which is spring. So if you guys didn't know, the first episode I think of me recording our live seasons is talking about my winter season of life. So if you're not familiar with the winter season, basically what it is when you feel like life just hits you with a ton of shit and you're just it's the worst part of your life. You feel like it's the worst part of your life. And that was me last year. So last year I wasn't having the best time of my life. I have a lot of shit that I have to go through, grow through, and I'm just really thankful for whatever that has happened last year. And if you are curious as to what happened or how my winter season was like, then I would say listen to the episode, because I talk a lot more in detail as to what exactly happened, what I've learned from it. And because it's literally like we are more than halfway through the year, we are in September right now as I'm recording this, the 12th of September. So I would say that obviously so much has have changed in terms of my mental wise, in terms of where I am in life right now. And I feel like literally recently I was like, oh my god, I am entering my spring season, or rather I have already entered my spring season. And I feel like this is the perfect time to actually have an episode talking about spring seasons, because I have so much to say. Looking back at the 9 months, I'm like, oh my goodness. And we're only halfway through September. So obviously September is going to be so life changing because of the trip that's coming up. And but prior to that, there are a lot of life changing activities and events that has happened in my life. And looking back, I'm so proud of the person that I am today, especially this podcast as well. You guys, if you guys came from the very start, I had this podcast, I think, in pretty much the earlier stage of 2023. So yeah, the earlier stage of my spring. So I just want to kind of walk you guys through how my spring is like and kind of reminisce little seasons and moments with me. So that's why I have my iPad here today, because I literally went back to look at since January all the way to today, September the 12th, exactly what happened and what are the things that I've manifested, how my spring has been like so far. So I am gonna say that I'm actually transitioning into summer, which is a more light-hearted and where I actually bear the fruits of my labor. And I'm just saying that entering summer, I can already feel it. Even though I'm not in summer yet, but I can already feel that summer is gonna be so good. The season of my life. Okay, I'm not talking about the current season, because currently I think in the States it's fall. So I'm not talking about that season, but more of my season of life, and everyone is going through different seasons of their life. And I would say that if you guys know, for spring, it's a lot on new opportunities, it's a lot on trial and error, testing out, experimenting different things in your life. It's a lot on healing. And it's also, let me see, it's a lot on new beginnings, I would say, where you begin a new journey of life, right? It makes sense because after winter is spring. And winter season was when it hits me real bad, and there was a lot of things that was thrown in my face that I knew I needed to heal. And I would say that from this start of the year, since January, I've actually made an intention to heal. And I know I have a lot of healing that needs to be done. And somehow in 2023, it's just, it's my first year, my life cycle, my first life cycle. If you guys don't know, we have like a total of 9 cycles. So last year was my ninth cycle where I complete, where there was a lot of disaster that was happening. And then this year is my first year in cycle, my first life cycle, and basically it means new beginning and stuff, right? And so just nice, I was in this spring season. I think whenever everyone is in their first year of their life path, this is numerology, okay? So if you don't know, look it up. um First year is always new beginnings, right? Where you are completely changed into a new person, whether or not you like it. That's just how the universe works. At least for me, I was pushed into this whole new identity that I had to actually level up. Because, like I mentioned, new level, new devil. I need to be able to hold certain space for certain emotions that was coming through me, very new emotions. And yeah, so let me just refer to, let's just start from from January, shall we? Okay, so January, I would label it as my healing state, like I mentioned, closing the ninth cycle of my life. I had a lot of healing to be done, so just nice. I had a trip that was planned, a Phuket trip that was planned with my friend in January, the very first week of January, and I had, I think, 5 days, if I'm not wrong, in Phuket. And during this trip, I healed a lot. Phuket is an amazing island for me to really just heal. And it's just, you can already feel it, like the beach, the, I don't know, just the waters, the people there, the culture and everything. It's very similar to Bali, I would say. So I really did enjoy my time because we actually did island hopping. And during this period of time, I really felt like, okay, I was ready. This was my first break before I actually start to heal. So during that period of time, I didn't really have the intention to heal. It was just more of like, okay, to get away from the things that was happening back home to another country and to just start up my healing journey. So I would say I unknowingly, this wasn't planned. Okay, I didn't know I was gonna go through a breakup and like career changes and stuff like that in 2023, end of 2023. Oh, sorry, 2022. Oh my god, what am I talking about? Like end of 2022, going into 2023. So this trip was planned way, way, way before. And I just love how things happen in divine timing. So yeah, so actually I went on a trip to Phuket, and then after I came back from Phuket, I kind of started to somehow, I think I remember this clearly when I was on my way to work one day. I just decided that okay, this is it. I want to heal. I'm going to take the whole entire year of 2023 to heal because I didn't know how long it was going to take for me to heal. But I just wanted to give myself time. I didn't want to rush it. I didn't want to give it a timeline. So I would just say that, like I set an intention that 2023, I just wanted to use this whole entire year to heal. Uh, you know, putting aside career and everything, just internal healing. I think what I really meant was internal healing. I just set an intention. It's not like I created a whole entire, I don't know, like a whole entire movement on it. I didn't tell anyone that I was gonna heal, but I told myself that okay, this is it. Like this year, you're gonna start healing, and I don't care how you're gonna heal. You're just gonna heal. You're gonna discover different parts of yourself, and you're gonna be ready for it. Even though I don't feel like I was ready, but I think I was kind of pushed to actually healing because later on when I talk about the different months, you can actually see that a lot of things are actually pushing for me and forcing me to heal. And I feel like this was the best year to actually heal. And this, by far, I would say this is the best year that I felt like with myself, with this new version of me. So that was that. I actually, from then on, I actually dabbled into manifestation. I started to read a lot more books. I mean, I was reading prior to that, but I started to read a lot more at the start of January. I started to listen to a lot more podcasts on self-love, because the previous podcast that I used to listen to was business. The previous books that I used to read was business stuff as well. So everything was surrounded, you know, around like business concepts and stuff like that. So it was really different this time, because this time around I actually started to hear more about self-help, self-love, self-care, and a lot of like mindset stuff. So I kept on, I think, listening to podcasts, even though nothing was going in my mind, honestly speaking. Like everything was just, yeah, in and out, in and out. But certain things stayed. Okay. I mean, if you were to really listen to podcasts, even though you may not be present 100% of the time, but there will be still certain mindsets or concepts that, sparks your interest, okay, that remains in your mind. So that was what happened for me. I just kept pumping myself with self-help, self-care, whatever that I can find to heal myself, and to start hearing, people's stories and people's lesson learned, in whether or not it's in a relationship or just in life in general. I felt a lot of comfort from that, and I feel like, at least I'm not the only one that is facing situations like that. And it's really interesting to see how people actually go past or get through tough situations that are very similar to what I was going through. So I feel like, really those podcasts and books really help my save my life, in a sense where it helped me to heal a lot. Okay. So that was that. I set an intention, that was one. So this was when the whole entire journey started. Okay. So in later part of January, I did something that was so, so, so shocking to myself. Okay, so one thing you gotta understand is that I was really into the whole self care, right? And I remember one of the days I just told myself that, okay, I wanted to do something for myself, because I've always wanted and I've always enjoyed facial. So I wanted to prioritize that, because prior to this, I always felt like, paying money for facials is just a waste of time, because, I could use that money to invest back into my business or to improve myself and stuff like that, right? Like the money could be used for something else. So I never actually felt like self care was important. My version of self care was just non existent. Like now to think about it, yeah, it was non existent, because I never really think about how, yeah, I should probably take care of myself. Okay, so that's just something that I just discovered. But anyways, so towards the end of January, I actually decided to go for a facial session. And I think typical facial session, right? Once they are done, they would actually try to upsell you with packages and stuff like that. So I walking in that clinic, I was already ready to pay for a package, because just for, like, for me to keep myself accountable, to know that, I will be actually having facial sessions or self-care sessions every once a month. Okay, so that was just kind of me promising myself that, I would actually fulfill this wish of mine, or this dream of mine. So I actually signed on. Walking in, I didn't know what was the price range gonna be like, and I had this lack mentality in terms of financial wise, where I'm not willing to pay, like I mentioned, right? I'm not willing to pay a certain amount of four figures for like a facial package. To me, back then it was stupid. Okay, not stupid. Stupid is a very strong word, but to me back then it was just like, why would I do that? I could use that money for something else. I always thought that I could use that money to invest back into my business, because way back then in 2022, business was my whole entire life, right? So that was that. And I decided to actually invest 3K in a facial package. It may not sound like it's a lot to some of you guys, but trust me, it was a lot back then to me, because like I mentioned, I've never paid that amount, right? 3K could get me, I think, few sessions with a one-on-one coach or in a group coaching program. So was I scared? Yeah, I was so scared that I wouldn't be able to make that amount back. And I felt like I was splurging. But the thing is that I wanted to do that for myself, and I promised myself that I'm gonna take so much like care. I'm gonna take so good care of myself that it's gonna reflect back into my current reality, right? So that was a belief that I have, and I decided, to just close my eyes and to just pay for that 3K of facial packages. And I did it. I was so shocked. Like after that, I had a lot of uncertainty in my, like, within me, in inwards. Like I was so, so, so scared that, this money was going to be gone just like that. It's not an investment, right? It's an expense, and whether I made the right decision or not, I was constantly doubting myself after I made the payment for days. And I decided to tell myself, you know what, let it go. that money can be earned back, it doesn't really matter. I need to be in this abundant mindset because, like I mentioned back then, I was still trying to dabble little into manifestation a little bit more because I was a little skeptical about how manifestation works and how this whole entire thing works, right? It sounds too good to be true. So I'm someone that needs to try things out myself, and I need to see that is actually working for me to be able to believe in it. And I believe a lot of people are like that, right? Because I've been burned a lot of times, especially in the coaching industry, whereby people will tell you things that are not necessarily true or not 100% the truth, and you buy into that. And then when you're in it, you realize that, oh, there's a lot of gray area that they don't tell you about. And yeah, and I know that it's very different experiences for everybody, so I just want to say that I want to experience things myself to know that it actually works. So I was dabbling into manifestation, so that this was a perfect chance for me to actually try to manifest this money back and manifest more abundance into my life. Okay, so this was the very, 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 very start, and this is just January. So yeah, so I had to trust in my decision to know that the universe is gonna take care of the rest. Like, I've already spent this 3K, I might as well just enjoy it, right? So I was enjoying my facials every other month. Every month I was looking forward to my facial sessions, and it was really, really, really enjoyable. um throughout these facial sessions, because then I feel like, not only am I getting my skin clean, I'm actually taking care of myself. I do have this me time. And to me, it was more than just a facial. It was really a time for me to actually just sit with my thoughts while she was doing my face and just really be submerging in this silence, because I used to, like I mentioned, I used to not be able to sit in silence with myself because I was so afraid of the thoughts that was gonna come up, right? That I have to face. So, like I mentioned, 2023 wasn't a year that I wanted to continue pushing aside all these emotions and just try to push them away and not look at them. 2023 was a year that I decided to face my emotions and face whatever fears that I have inside and try to work through it once and for all. Okay, so that was January. So in February, it was a little bit more friend and family focused with a little bit of career shift. Okay, so this is when things start to get a little bit interesting. So February, when I was looking at my calendar, because I have a Google calendar where I put a lot of like whether or not it's outings with my friends or families or just important meetings and important work related stuff, I would just keep it in my Google Calendar. So that's why it's so helpful. When I was looking back, like just now, I was looking back at what actually happened throughout the entire month. It was so easy for me to just scan through and kind of see and it brings me back to different memories that I have in that particular month. Okay, so anyways, I was focusing a lot on going out with my friends and family. There were a lot of outings that was happening, constantly being surrounded with people. So this was when I actually started to learn to be alone, because before that, at the very start of February, I was still in the mentality, I was still trying to be alone, but at the same time a little bit scared that I wasn't able to eat alone yet. I wasn't able to spend time alone. The facial sessions were just little bits of pockets of time that I try my best to be alone, like with my thoughts, but it was nothing like, sitting myself down and literally hearing what comes up, my inner thoughts and my inner child, right? So I think February was when I was still trying my best to be surrounded with as much people as I can, so that I don't have time to myself, until I think second week of February was when I started to get so burnt out, because I'm an introvert in general, right? And I spending time with people, even though they may be my really, really good friend, but I still get drained, and I still crave, weirdly enough, I still crave for alone time. I just wanted to be alone at home. I just wanted to keep things to myself. And that's when I started really working out. I work out a lot more at home because I didn't want to go to the gym. And yeah, so that was when I really, really tried to be alone. So in my, I think one of my episodes, I did mention, like, I set myself down every single day for just 5 minutes to talk to myself, to make sure, that all the concerns that I have in words were actually, in my inner world, were actually like um answered, right? So that was really, really uncomfortable. I talk about the whole entire process in one of the episodes. So I think being alone but never lonely. So that episode, I talk a little bit more about that. So you can actually go hear that if you want to, on how I actually managed to finally be able to be comfortable alone and really enjoy my alone time. So this was where I started to be alone. Okay, and then moving on, I was actually working on a lot of things that I felt was empty after my breakup. Because if you guys know, I was in a relationship for 4 years. So during these 4 years, I was constantly surrounded by my then partner, right? I was constantly, occupied, and I felt like I don't need time alone. But right now, after the breakup, I was alone. Of course, I have more time alone, and these pockets of time, I don't know what to do with myself. So a lot of the times I felt empty, and I try to fill it up with whether or not it's going out with friends or just watching Netflix and just chill the whole entire day, or just reading books to occupy my mind, right? This was where I started to work on this emptiness, and I told myself that, there's no way that I'm running away from this emptiness. I just need to face it. So that was what happened. And then, let me see. So after that, I felt stagnant. I desire for more growth, and I desire for more novelty, which I felt like back then, because I was still working at 9 to 5, right? I felt like my 9 to 5 was not giving me that. I felt a little bit stagnant with everything that's happening in life. It's just mundane. Because I'm someone that loves novelty. And if you know me, or if you were to speak to my friends or even my mom and my dad, they will tell you that I'm always hopping around. I'm always doing something new every now and then, every other day, because I just love this. I'm a very creative person, so I just love this sense of novelty and creativity. Oh my god, I can't speak. Creativity every single month is just different. Like, when I have an idea, I would just want to jump right into it and just drop everything and plunge my whole entire head in and just work on it. So that's just how I am, and I embrace this part of me. For a longest period of time, I couldn't, but right now I embrace this side of me because I know that it takes a lot of courage to actually do the things that just sparks interest in me. Okay, so that was when, like, I felt really stagnant with my 9 to 5. So I tried to test a different role. I tried to test and change my environment. So this is the testing part of spring. This is when spring actually really begins for me. So I applied to be a stewardess, to be a Singapore Airlines stewardess. So this might be really shocking because I only like told my really, really close friends about this story. But long story short, I got through a couple of interviews, and I failed at the last one because of my height. Yeah, funny enough. Their requirement was 159. I am 159 on the dot, but I couldn't reach that line that they wanted me to reach with the kabaya on. So they failed me. Was I upset? Yes, I was pissed because the only reason why I wanted to apply for to be an air stewardess was because the thought of being able to travel around the world just makes me so excited, and being paid to do that is just a dream come true, right? I've never actually thought that I wanted to be an air stewardess until, like, when I felt things were stagnant. I felt like the only way, I remember showering and just thinking to myself, okay, so what are the possible ways that I can actually earn money while traveling the world? And obviously stewardess was one of the things that popped up in my mind, and they were opening for applications back then. So I was like, okay, let me just try it, right? So the whole entire month of February, I was just trying out this. I had a couple of interviews, and then a virtual one, and then a physical in-person one. So the in-person one had 3 stages, right? And I failed at the last one, but it's okay because I did actually manage to wear the kabaya, and I felt like that was enough. I was upset, of course. I was disappointed because my bestie, he's actually flying. He got in way before I did. And we were thinking of how cool it will be if we were to travel together, this and that, right? But I felt embarrassed because I felt like I was disappointing him. But of course, he was cool with it. So long story short, this was just me trying to change my environment. It didn't work out. So I was back to a 9 to 5. Sadly, yeah. I had no other choice. I was like, okay, you know what? It's okay. Let me just sit on it and just see what happens. So I didn't give up. I just felt like, okay, this was one of the ways that I tried and didn't work out. So moving on to March. So March was me getting out and engaging in the world, and a little bit of my money mindset shift start happening in this month. Okay. So this is when my first ever manifestation actually came about. My first biggest one. So back in January, as I was starting out the year, as like everyone else, I wrote down in my journal like what I want to manifest for this year, my goals for this year. And one of them was to actually hit a certain amount by the end of the year. My monthly, like my monthly, whether or not it's my monthly salary or just my monthly business income revenue, right? For the month. I had this figure in mind. And what I set the timeline to was 1 year till the end of December 2023. Okay, writing it down, putting little thought to it, I just moved on with life. In March, I didn't know, mind you, I didn't know how it was gonna happen. I didn't know when it was gonna happen. I don't even know if it was gonna even gonna happen. So I wrote it, left it as it is, and I just moved on with my day to day. Until March was when, surprisingly, out of nowhere, I got a pay raise. And that pay raise, kid you not, it was actually that amount that I manifested and $200 more every single month. And I was like, oh my god, and it's only March. Like, are you kidding me? I failed my stewardess interview and I got a pay raise after that. And I was like, things really do happen for a reason, yeah? Like, I didn't get the reason why I didn't get into this stewardess interview was because I was gonna get a pay raise after that and I didn't know, right? This was all in divine timing, this was all universe plans. So I was so shocked. I was like, oh my god, no way. I was so freaking excited. I was jumping up and down. I was like, oh my god, I can't believe it. Like, I thought that I was gonna only manifest this at the end of the year. Like, I didn't even know how I was gonna manifest it, and somehow I did. And I was like, wait, what? Like, manifestation really works now? So I was a little bit intrigued, right? At this point, I was like, okay, let's see. Let's see what else you got. So this was one of them. And I was looking, because for the whole entire of March, I was actually focusing a lot into my finances. I was looking at how I can actually invest in different things or how I can actually have more passive income coming in, right? So during this time, I also have my Penang trip, and I was feeling a little bit more of like myself, and I was getting back into the groove of, like, really doing what I am passionate about, which is like photo shoots and just planning a shoot. I used to do that when I was interning in San Francisco, Silicon Valley. I was really, really into planning shoots and just really looking at how the photos turn out. Okay, I really do enjoy stuff like that. So I decided, out of, like, I think I followed my intuition and I decided to actually book a photographer in Penang to do a lifestyle shoot for half a day. And I kid you not, that shoot turned out so well. So if you were to go onto my personal Instagram at n.wenzz, you can actually see the photos that he actually took. It was amazing. I love him so much. So shout out to Wilson. Like, he's an amazing photographer in Penang. So if you ever go there and you want to take photos, he's the guy. So I did that photo shoot, and that photo shoot really gave me a lot more confidence. It wasn't just your typical photo shoot, because I felt like myself again. I felt so passionate about my Instagram feed again. It's not like I plan it for anyone to see, but it's just for myself, for my own confidence, and to feel like, okay, this is a new start, a new chapter, a new beginning. So this was the photos that I had, and I was slowly picking up my passion on designing, and I was just really living the moment, but nothing too serious, right? So during this entire trip, I unknowingly actually was networking or making friends for the first time after so long. I was really shocked at, who I've made friends with and how I actually made friends with them. So obviously I made friends with Wilson, the photographer, because during this period of time, like, I have to be comfortable with him and he have to be comfortable with me, because the whole entire shoot, right, was gonna not gonna be awkward at all. So I was really glad that we actually were very similar in a sense. We're both introverts, but we actually bring out the extroverted self in us. And then I discovered a cafe that somehow led me to know the founder of the cafe, and then working out on opportunities to do like passion projects and stuff like that. So the people there were amazing. So if you look at the highlights in my Instagram, my personal Instagram page, you would see that I made a couple of good experiences. Not made a couple of good experiences. I had a couple of good experiences with the people at the cafe. They were so nice, and I felt at home. I was like, oh my god, this trip, like, it came at the right time. I love it so much. Like, everything was just happening in March, and I was just so excited, what's to come, because right now, when I go to Penang, I'm not worried about finances, right? Because I just got my pay raise, and I'm just in this whole entire mode of like positivity and excitement. And I think that's when, like I mentioned, right, the law of mirroring or law of attraction, you attract what you actually put out there. So I was actually giving out a lot of, like, looking back, I was actually giving out a lot of positivity, and just really, I was just in such a good mood, and things happen for me. and things mirror back, you know, like the energy that was mirror back to me was amazing. The people there was amazing. So that was that. So that kind of sums up, like in March I was just basically in the flow. I was really positive and I could see that I was slowly healing. And mind you, it was only March and I started my healing journey in January. So this is how fast you can actually heal if you really want to. Okay. So moving on, in April is when I actually start to focus a lot more and I hone in a lot more on my money mindset, because I knew that money was one thing that I wanted to work on, because I don't really have the best relationship with money per se. Like I would get so scared when I see negative, like minus signs, you know, like expenses that was going out in my bank transaction, and I would be so happy with the positive sign, you know, the plus signs in your bank account. So I felt like, you know, there was something about money that I needed to work on, and I know that I don't have the best money mindset. I just didn't know how, because I know I've been reading books on money, but it's just like, okay, great, there are concepts, but how do I actually put it in life? And I know that I have very specific money mindset that I have, and money and concepts around money that I needed to work through with. And I wanted to actually invest in a one-on-one coach. That was when I felt like I was ready. And I wanted to invest in someone that I felt connected to spiritually, and I felt connected to, I don't know, just vibes wise, right? And it's so interesting. I think I talked about this story in one of my episodes before, but it's so interesting that I actually did manage to find someone, and her name popped out of nowhere. Like she really just popped out of nowhere. I've been following her for I think 2 years now, and I haven't been seeing much of her, but I just knew that I needed to invest in her. I don't know why. I don't know how this happened, but I was just showering. Everything happens when I was showering. I don't know why. But I was just showering, like her name just popped up. I'm like, oh my god, I gotta search for her. Same thing, intuition. Okay. So April was a lot on learning. I had a lot of learning and healing to do in terms of like my money mindset. So this was also when the next part of manifestation, or rather angel numbers, or um signs that I'm getting from the universe. Okay, I started to see a lot more 111 and 444. So it's not my first time seeing them. Past year I wasn't really like actively, I don't know, it just didn't occur to me that these are angel numbers, right? But April was when I started seeing more of 111 and 444. And I was so curious as to what it actually means, because I know for me, one thing for sure, 444, I know everyone has different meanings when it comes to angel numbers, but for me at least, 444 has always been a number that I know whatever that I'm worried about at that moment, everything will be taken care of. Because my first encounter with the angel number 444 was when I actually was really, really scared that, you know, my luggage was gonna be overweight. And I was really panicking. Like it was a mini anxiety attack. I was just like, oh my god, what am I gonna do? Like I don't have the money to pay for, you know, extra baggage and blah 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 blah. I was just really panicking. And then I looked down at the time. I remember at that time it was 444. So I just decided out of nowhere, intuition again. I decided to look up 444. What does it mean? So at that point in time, when I saw that number, literally, I kid you not, 5 minutes later, the person, like the airline, the air steward, or the admin person, I don't know, like he actually announced that, oh, because the flight isn't full, so they actually do allow people to check in their luggages for free. So of course I had to take my luggage. I grabbed my luggage and I was like almost the first in line to get my luggage like checked in, because it was so damn heavy. Because of I don't know what I bring, but like, it was so damn heavy that I knew that, you know, it was gonna be overweight. And I was so glad. And that was when I decided, you know, that okay, 444 is really a sign where, you know, whatever I'm worried about, everything's gonna be taken care of by the spirit guides, by the universe. So 111, basically to me, it means that I'm on the right track and I don't have to worry. Okay, so this was the number that I kept looking. Like I wasn't actively looking, but I just, you know, there would be times where I look at my phone and it was 111, like, or 1111. Or I would be sitting at a bus stop and then the bus came and it was 111. I was like, wait, what? And then I'll be looking at, I don't know, the time, and it was 444. Or the amount that I was paying for food or whatever was 44 or 444. Like there are so many synchronicities that I was like, oh my god, like what? Like I literally felt like the universe or my spirit guides are actually speaking to me through these angel numbers. And I totally 100% believe in these angel numbers. So I'm like, okay, I got it, I got this. Because I was during the times, especially when I was struggling financially, I like with my financial mindset, I think that was when I kept seeing these numbers and I was so shocked. And literally, I kid you not, I literally tele bubbled like my friend, my bestie, and I was like, oh my god, look at this! Like these numbers are everywhere. And he was like, I don't even see these numbers. Like, where are you seeing these numbers? And I only notice them until you talk about it. So so yeah, you know, those are my angel numbers. Okay. And then in April, I also invested, like I mentioned, I invested in my coach, and it was really intuition led, and amazing things came out of it. We were so aligned, and I knew at the moment that I actually spoke to her on our discovery call, I knew I had to sign with her, and I know that I had a specific amount in my mind, and she literally, like, how much she charged was literally exactly how, like, my budget, it fits perfectly into my budget. And I was like, oh my god, this is a divine timing, and this is the universe work of art. So moving on, this is when the fun begins, because I actually started to really have someone to help me to heal, because prior to that I was trying to heal alone, right? Not to say that it was bad, but it's just that I know I needed to amp it up. So we worked a lot on like my past money mindsets. I discovered a lot of my childhood traumas with the relationship that I have with my dad improved so much after this call. And Vanessa know it. Like, Vanessa is my coach. Vanessa, you know it. Like, you've helped me so much, and I can't be more grateful of, like, the healing work that we've been doing. And it's just amazing. And I'm who I am today. I have this perfect and so amazing relationship with money right now, and I manifest so much because of us working through the mindsets that I have, okay, with money. So I was busy with work, and then I was also on the verge of like starting my passion project again, because I just felt like, I have a lot of time on hand and I just wanted to do it again. So that's when I decided to revamp my creative studio, which is Le Brand Club. It's now called Le Brand Club. Okay, so that was when I wanted to get a lot more into creative. So that was why, like, I wanted to do a revamp, and I was doing a lot on like the website, and coming up with the plan, the social media plan for everything. So that was in April. So it feels like it's so long, but it's only April. Okay, anyways, in May, this was when I booked my flight to San Francisco. This coming flight, I booked it in May, out of nowhere. Honestly speaking, it was just one day. I was like, okay, you know what? Now that I have the financial bandwidth, I want to be able to go back. And I always say this, that I wanted to be able to go back to San Francisco with an upgraded version. Like, I wanted to go there to really just enjoy myself and to go back as a different person. So I was like, you know what? Let me just check the flights. And when I checked the flight, I was like, okay, so I think it's okay. I contemplated for a few days, and I was like, you know what? Let me just book it. So I booked the flights. I was worried again of the flight tickets, but I was like, you know what? Somehow, like, in me, I felt like this was the right decision to make, that I needed to go. And I knew that I needed to go alone, but because I was so afraid of traveling alone, right? I've never actually traveled alone before. So I was trying to pull like my mom, my best friend to go with me, and they all couldn't make it. And that was when I decided, okay, you know what? Like, I get it. Like, dear universe, I get it that this trip I'm meant to be alone. So here I am going on this trip, like, alone. So I manifested this trip as an upgrade, which I did because I'm now flying Singapore Airlines premium economy. Okay. So this was an amount that I never thought that I was gonna spend on an air ticket, but it felt so good, and it felt like an upgrade. I mean, it is an upgrade, and I promised myself 5 years back that I was gonna go back to San Francisco with an upgraded version of myself, literal upgraded version. So in me, I started to trust a lot more with myself, in myself, and I started to be more intuitive. I started to make a lot of decisions based on my intuition, and that was when I really start to fully let go and trust in my abilities and capabilities of making the right decision, because I believe that any decision that I make was the right decision. So this was when, like I mentioned, I started to worry a little bit of the finance as time passed, whether or not I'm making the right decision. Same thing, I was like overthinking after every decision that I make. And this was when, out of nowhere, I decided to ask for a sign. And it was a blue bird. So I'm not someone that is really into birds or whatever that is related to birds. All I could hear in my mind was bluebird. when I wanted to ask for a sign. So I decided to go with it, right? I was like, okay, what could possibly go wrong? Where the hell am I gonna find a bluebird in Singapore? Like I've never seen a bluebird, honestly. So I was like, you know what, whatever. So the sign, what I said was, dear universe, please let me see a bluebird or show me a bluebird, any form of bluebird, to know that it's okay. I don't have to worry that I've made this right choice of booking my trip based on my intuition. I kid you not again. The next day, as I was watching this Chinese drama, the first episode, the guy, the CEO of the company, the main lead of the show, his company name was Bluebird Investment Company. I'm like, bro, what in the world is is this? I can't even, honestly speaking, I'm like, at this point, I don't even know, because all I expected was an actual image of a bluebird. And when I go and search bluebird, it's literally called like the blue jay. Like there's literally a bird that is blue, and it's called, the actual name I think is blue jay or something like that. And I think it represents like abundance. Yeah, I probably gotta look this up, but I know it represented something that I wanted so badly at that point in time, and I wanted a sign for. So this was my, I would say, second or third manifestations already. So fast forward to June, I mean next month, June, I decided to stop revamping Le Brand Club because I just felt it was so forceful. Because I think prior to that, while I was revamping it for 2 months, I have a lot of times where I was like so burnt out from it. I was like, should I do this? Should I? And then I had a lot of time where I was telling my coach that, I didn't really feel much, I didn't really want to really do it. And we tried to work through as to why, whether or not we should continue pushing for it. Am I just lazy, or am I just uncertain, or does it really not align with where I want to be? And we kind of weighed things out, and I sat with myself, and I know that, it was a decision that wasn't aligned anymore. Because back then, when I made the decision to start Le Brand Club again, was because I wanted to make money. I wanted to be able to have a way to quit my 9 to 5 to build a business from there. It was all money centric, right? And as I start to work on my money mindset, that was when I felt like, okay, Le Brand Club was really not aligned. I started not because of passion anymore. I started because I just felt like I needed a way to earn a thing to earn me money, right? So that was when I decided to stop revamping it. It was a really tough decision for me to make, because then I literally went into the scarcity mode of like, oh my god, my god. So if I don't do Le Brand Club right now, what am I gonna do? I only have one source of income, and I'm even gonna survive. Will I be in 9 to 5 forever? Like, because I don't want to be in 9 to 5 forever, right? So I'm like, oh my god, like, what is gonna happen next? And the unknown and the uncertainty scares the shit out of me. But somehow there was this sense of peace and calm, and this confidence in myself to know that, okay, I know that I'm gonna be making the right decision, that whatever decision that I make is gonna be right for me, because everything happens in divine timing, and I believe that, the universe is actually guiding me in its own way, right? So that was that. And then in June was when I started our live seasons podcast. This particular podcast, I sat on it for so long, and I'm so glad that in June, when I decided to just let go of Le Brand Club, I'm like, okay, this is time that I should start our live seasons. And my bestie has been really encouraging me to do this. And I felt like, okay, this was time, right? And our live seasons is so different from Le Brand Club, because our live seasons, this podcast, like I mentioned in the very start of this podcast, is our live seasons is a podcast that I don't want to, put pressure on. I really truly just enjoy recording these podcast episodes, and I love talking about things in life in general, life seasons, life lessons, and just talking about life. I can go on and on and on, days and days and days, talking about things like that, self-development and self-help, self-love, self-care, whatever it is. And I felt like it felt so right to be able to start that. And I know that I'm just gonna go with the flow, right? So this was when I felt like, okay, I'm not doing this because of money. Like, I am able to really truly enjoy, and it's something that I really want to do, right? You can really just feel it in your body and in your heart that, okay, this is something that I really do enjoy. And I'm like, you know what, let me just try it out. It doesn't really matter, I'm not putting pressure on it. So here we are, like, our live seasons. I'm so excited, I'm so happy that I actually started this podcast, and I hope that you can actually appreciate my wisdom, my honesty, and just these raw cuts of our life seasons. Anyways, so this really felt freeing. My first episode, I was so excited. I was like, oh my god, I'm gonna talk about, like, I can't wait to see where this is gonna take me. So we'll see together. Okay, so this was the first time it actually felt freeing for me to be able to work on something that I truly felt passionate about, and I don't expect it to earn me money. Okay, because prior to this, whatever that I started, whatever business that I was working on, I expected to earn me money and to free me from the 9 to 5. But this, our life seasons, wasn't it. Okay, then money came in at this time. So the government actually announced that they were gonna give out like $700, and I was like, oh my god, wait, what? Like, money from nowhere? Sure, I'll take it. So that was that. I wouldn't say that I actually manifested this, but in general, I've been manifesting more abundance, right? Wealth, more abundance, whatever it is. And I've manifested, when I talk about abundance, it's a lot on like the mindset stuff, and it's a lot on wealth, right? I'm not gonna sit here and tell you that I don't want to manifest a lot more money. Obviously, I'm lying, because everyone loves money, and it's okay to love money. And I feel like there's no right or wrong when it comes to loving money, right? Money is just an object, it's just a material. Whether or not you're a good person, if you're a good person, whatever that you do with the money will always be beneficial to the world, right? Because I'm not cheating, I'm not lying, I'm not stealing. I feel like that's a relationship that I have developed with money, and it's really, really, really great. So, July, I spend more time with my family, and this was where I really love it, because last year I wasn't able to spend a lot of time with them. So I have a lot of regrets. But this year I am so glad that I get to spend more time with my grandmother, and I get to spend more time with my mom. We started playing mahjong together on weekends, and it was just a great way for us to bond together in general. And I have so much laughter from sessions like that. And my heart just feels so full after every session. Okay, and in July was also my brother's birthday, and I'm very, very close with my brother, so we had staycation. It was just great vibes. And then during that staycation, as I was enjoying myself, an honest entry, which was in my another account, on motivational quotes and stuff like that I post every single day, had a breakthrough. And I kid you not, when I opened my TikTok account, I was so damn shocked. I was like, wait, what? Why are there like 100 over notifications? And one of my video actually kind of blew up for an honest entry. And I was like, oh my god, there's literally like 190k views or 19k. Okay, I don't know, honestly, don't quote me on that. Just go and look at an honest entry's Instagram, I mean TikTok. I actually pinned it. It was insane. I think it was like, I currently am standing at like 24 point something k likes, and I was like, wait, what? For that one post. So good and bad, this post, I talk about it in another episode again. I talk about everything that happened in another episode, in a episode itself. So just give it a listen as to what happened. But we had a first breakthrough for an honest entry, and I was honestly so excited, because I was so close to actually giving up, and I was like, oh my god, this is not working. Like, who would read these stupid quotes by me? I'm not a writer, I'm not a poet, so who would? But apparently people will. So anyways, then July I started to play this money game. So it's basically me coloring like heart shapes of $500 whenever I manifested, or whenever money just comes into my life. And this money game was meant for my San Francisco trip. Okay, so that was the money game that I started. But I was still very worried about money. I wanted, so one day, out of nowhere, like I was just in a bus, right? And I felt like it was gonna be fun to do. I was like, okay, let me just try to call in to see if manifestation really works. So I was like, let me just try to call in $100. I don't know how I was gonna get it, okay? Because at that point in time, I had nothing. I wasn't LeBron Club, like I mentioned. I stopped revamping it. I was in my 9 to 5 as per usual. Every single day was just that day, particularly, was just a normal day. And I was like, okay, let me just try manifesting $100. I don't know how it's gonna come. I'm just gonna try it. Literally within 2 hours, I received a text from my old client, and he was like, "Oh, I have a project for you." And the amount was 3 times more than what I expected. So it was 300 over dollars. And I was like, wait, what? Like, really? I wasn't even expecting that, because the last time that I contacted this client was last year, or almost 2 years back. And I was like, wait. So this was my another manifestation story, and I'm like, oh my god, you must be kidding me. Then it doesn't even end here, okay? So I think a week later, or a couple of days later, I actually got money out of nowhere. Yeah, I know this may sound a little bit like, what? But really, honestly, I got money out of nowhere from my bank. So I thought that I actually paid like double for my credit card payment. And then I was like calling the bank back and forth and be like, oh my god, I think I overpaid it, blah blah blah. And I was like, oh my god, why would I be so stupid to overpay? I was panicking. I was like, oh my god. And then I decided to be like, okay, it's all gonna be solved, right? I was trying to constantly still healing my money mindset and be like, it's okay, it's all right. And then I called the bank, and the bank was like, oh, you do actually have like 2,000 plus in your account that you can actually transfer to your savings account. And I was like, wait, why, what, huh? Like, why would I have $2,000 over dollars? Like, I thought that I overpaid like 800 over dollars. And on top of that, there was $2,000. I don't know from where. And I was trying to ask them, like, where is this money coming from? Like, what is this money? Where? What? And then they were like, oh, we can't really check it. I was like, wait, what? So you mean I have like $2,000 over dollars in my bank account out of nowhere? And I was like, what? I felt so shocked. I was like, is what? Like, okay, I mean, I've been trying to manifest money, but like, I didn't expect it to come in this way. So that's why I tell you, like, when money really comes, like, it just comes. When you're in flow, money just comes out of nowhere. I know this may sound a little bit like, what the heck is she talking about? But trust me, like, I am in shock as well. Like, how did this even happen? So this was when like I am honing a lot more into manifestation. I was trying to figure out how exactly I actually manifested all this money. And one common denominator was that I really just let go. I was in this playful mode of like, let me just see what I can get. Let me just ask. Like, I wasn't afraid to ask. I wasn't afraid to just to be in this playful energy. Because I feel like whenever people try to manifest and it doesn't happen, is because they hold on to this so tightly that it becomes it's such a turn off, right, to the universe. Like, oh my god, she's so desperate. Think about it that way. But yeah, I was constantly in this energy where I really just enjoy being in the moment and just see what happens. So this was when I actually manifested that. And then I was also trying to book my I was also trying to book my Airbnb or my hotel stay for San Francisco trip because it was close, right? I was 2 months away, and I was like, okay, I need to find it. When I was looking at the hotels, and I was like, oh my god, they are so expensive. They are so out of my budget. Blah 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 blah. I was panicking again, right? And I really just manifested. I wanted to manifest again. So I was like, let me just try. Like, let me just say that, okay, if I'm really meant to book this hotel, because there's this hotel that I really love, but it's a slightly a little bit over my budget, but it's perfect right smack in the middle of the city and so close to everywhere that I want to go, right? And it was amazing. The hotel is just amazing. So I was like, okay, you know what? Let me just try. And I was like, show me a duck out of nowhere. I swear. I was like, what? These are the weirdest signs that I actually ever asked for. So I was like, duck, like, okay, where am I gonna see a duck, right? It's not like I go to the pond every single day. And there was this particular duck that I had in mind. It was a yellow duck. So I was like, okay, never mind. So I carried on my day as per usual. I went into the toilet. I was scrolling through TikTok, and I swear, I was scrolling through, and then suddenly I stopped at a video where there was ducklings, like ducks, and a dog, and I'm like, oh my god, it's exactly the duck that I had in mind and I visualized, and I was like, no way, like, for real. So okay, that was the sign that I took, and I was like, okay, let me just run with it, right? So I went online on that like hotel's website. It was the last room, and the price was actually lower than what I had in mind. So it fits into my budget perfectly. And guess what? On top of that, they actually gave me $30 like in-room dining credit. And I'm like, wait, what? Like, oh my god, it's a bonus after bonus after bonus. And I'm like, it checks the list of everything that I wanted in my hotel, everything that I wanted for my stay in San Francisco. In the city, checked. Minimalist hotel, checked. Bonuses, check. Like, oh my god, you must be kidding me. So within my budget, check. Like, what in the world? But yeah, anyways, I'm just so excited that I get to book this, and I definitely will be filming it. So just stay tuned for my personal Instagram, because I definitely will be filming how it looks like and stuff like that. See, so follow me on this journey. Anyways, so currently only in July we are having like 3 manifestations that is coming through. Yeah, now moving on to August, which was last month. Okay, we're almost there. Bear with me, I know I'm like 54 minutes, but bear with me. So in August was when I actually traveled to Sydney with my mom and her friends, and it was really a much needed trip because I was so stressed out in July, as even though I was actually manifesting so much, but I was so busy with work that I really felt like this trip was needed, right? So Sydney allowed me to have a time where I tested a new lifestyle, just being alone in a foreign city. I had a solo day out, and I have a video of, I mean, I posted on my story that I was eating alone. I was just really sipping in. I was like, oh my god, like I do actually enjoy this alone time. And I felt so at home at a foreign country, a country that I've never been to. I was like, oh, so this is how it feels like if you, when you have inner peace, anywhere you go, whether or not it's a country that you're there for the first time or an experience that you're experiencing for the first time, you will always feel safe within yourself, because safety and comfort comes within. Okay, so I was so safe, and I felt so safe in Sydney, and I was like, oh my god, this is it. Like I love it so much. Like the farm stay, I just, imagine myself just plucking, I don't know what, apples and strawberries or whatever whole entire year, and I'm just gonna stay in farms and just live life at slow pace, your soft girl lifestyle. But anyways, so I went on a solo date, and I just really enjoyed the date to myself. And then August was when the government payout, right? Remember the 700 that I was telling you about? Yes, that payout was in August. And then I outgrew my 9 to 5. So I was like, okay, I really needed to just move, because I really felt unhappy. I felt unfulfilled after coming back from Sydney. I was like, okay, is this just a temporary thing or what? Because prior to Sydney, I've been thinking about it. I just felt so unhappy. And I just felt like, okay, you know what? I just feel like I've outgrown it, and it's time that I'm gonna move. So I decided to test new territories again, and I tendered my resignation in August. So in the previous episode, you will know that I was talking about certain things that I was transitioning into. So yeah, I tendered my resignation. I'm serving my 2 months notice, and my last day will be on the 31st of October. And I'm just so 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 happy that things are happening in divine timing. Okay, so when I talk about testing new territories, I'm actually talking about this experience. I don't really want to share it yet, but I'll just give a little bit of context. So I've always been looking to up level my skills and to be able to grow, right? So I am actually currently applying for this traineeship in one of a very big company that it's a company that I've never actually thought that I would actually be able to work in or train in. So I'm in the midst of interviewing. My last round of interview was supposed to be today, but something urgent came up on their side, so there was a lot of back and forth. But I am just hoping that the last interview goes well. And yeah, like, things really, when I say things happen in divine timing, it really does happen in divine timing, because my last day is 31st of October, right? That traineeship starts on the 1st of November. Everything really just happens in divine timing. I kid you not. I'm so shocked that even up to this point, and I feel like everything really just happens for a reason if you let it be. Don't try to control anything and everything. Just let it be. Okay? So in August, I felt a lot more in flow. I ended the month with, a lot more things that I know that was coming. I kept saying things like, oh, it's coming, it's coming, it's coming. I feel like the things are coming. I don't know exactly what it's coming, but I just feel like it's coming. Okay. So um I also started seeing more of my angel numbers again. I mean, throughout the whole entire year up to now, I do see a little bit of my angel numbers here and there, but it's just more and more intense as the months pass, and I'm like, oh, okay, that's why I mean, like, this is it. Okay, so if I keep looking here, I just want to make sure that I'm still recording, because I mean, it's so long. I mean, it's like what, fifth? It's almost an hour now. But anyways, okay, we're almost there. September, this month. I mean, half a month. We're only in the 12th of September. But again, last week, I was so worried about my finance as per usual. I'm like, okay, so now that I've actually tendered my resignation, what's gonna come? I don't have a backup plan. If I fail, the interview, or if this falls through, like, what backup plan do I have? Because my prior plan was to actually just leave everything and buy a one-way ticket to Bali and stay there for 6 months. That has been a plan that I've always wanted to do, and I felt like this was the perfect time for it. So I was worried with finance as per usual, I was but this time around it wasn't as bad because like I mentioned, I work a lot like my money mindset, right? And I was like, okay, you got this, it's okay. Anything that happens for a reason, and I trust that whatever that the universe allow to happen for me is gonna happen for me, and things are just gonna fall in place perfectly, right? So I started to doubt, and I was thinking, how is it even possible that I'm gonna be able to support myself financially, and I have like the financial investments to make, blah blah blah, this and that. So the funny thing was, again, I decided to ask for a sign. I was like, you know what? Let me just ask for a sign. So this time round, it was an owl out of nowhere again. Yes, it was an owl, and I was like, okay, there was this specific owl that I had in mind, very big eyes owl, and I was like, okay, let me just go with it. Within the next 24 hours, show me an hour to know that I'm on the right track, that things are gonna happen the way it is, that I don't have to be worried about my finance. So I went about my day. I was still trying so badly to look out for owls and be like, oh my god, I need to see an owl within 24 hours. But I was still in the control mode. And then I remember sitting in a bus and I told myself, okay, this is it. Let it go. You've been telling people and, recording podcast episodes talking about letting go, being in the flow. And why can't you do it? Just really let it go. If you truly believe and trust in the universe, why can't you let it go? So I was like, okay, I'm gonna let it go. If it happens, it happens. If I don't see an owl, then it is what it is. Something's better, this or better, this or better, right? This is the mantra that I like to tell myself, this or better. So it's so funny because the moment I tell myself to let it go, the lady beside me, she wanted to get off the bus. So she was holding on to a card holder. And it's so funny because she needed to hold on to the pole, if not she would fall, right? Because the bus was gonna come to a stop. So as she was holding on to the pole, and right in front of I'm not joking, right in front of my face, the card holder had an owl on it, and it was so big, like the eyes was so big, staring right in front of my face. It was literally like that. And I was like, I wanted to shift to let her out. So as I was shifting, somehow, like, usually when I shift, I would turn around and I would just let her out, right? But when I was shifting, somehow my face, I don't know why, but I just looked at what she was holding and I was like, bro, when I said I was gonna let it go, really, like that owl appeared within few hours of me asking for a sign, and I'm like, oh my god, like dear universe, you really come through. And that was when I was like, okay, this shit is real. Manifestation is real when you really believe in it, and when you really work on yourself, and when you really trust those people. I would say those people that think it's delusional or that think it's too woo woo, I respect that, but it means you're not, my people. But I feel like when you, because they don't trust, right? When you don't trust, it obviously it's not gonna come because you're not opening yourself up to the possibility that it's gonna happen, right? So I feel like these people, when they don't trust, obviously it's not gonna happen. It's like how if you don't trust your friend, why would they want to give you? Why would they want to reciprocate that trust, right? So I would say that, yeah, it's the same thing, okay? Because I really do believe in that, and it really has happened to me multiple times. As you can see, over the past few months, 9 months, it's been happening so many times, whether it's manifestations, and I believe there are so much more, that these are just like the more significant ones that I can remember. But there are little bits here and there that, I just felt like, yeah, but manifestations do work, okay? So this was me, and right now in September, what's coming up is me going to San Francisco. So yeah, I'm just so excited, and I can't wait to update you guys on what's gonna happen. And I am starting a new cycle in life. So this kind of sums up my current spring journey, and I'm moving into summer. So for those of you who don't know summer, and obviously I'm gonna be having another episode on this, but it's gonna be way down after I finish, or I kind of know I have more things to share on my summer. But summer is basically when you kind of reap your rewards, the fruits of your labor, and you really just go into this new life and abundance in wealth, in your mindset, just in general. Life gets so good. Like summer, we love it. The sun is so warm, like you just feel so happy. Yeah, that is summer, and I am transitioning into summer. Okay, let me tell you this. I think after coming back from San Francisco, I can tell you like my summer journey. But yeah, I'm just so excited. So anyways, so right now this is just me concluding the entire spring journey, and I hope that you actually do enjoy. I know that this podcast went on a little bit longer than usual, but I just felt like a need to kind of walk you through how my spring journey has been like, raw and honest. There are still days that I feel upset, but when I'm in doubt, I would always, always, always ask the universe for a sign, or I would always trust in the universe that everything's gonna happen for a reason. And so far, the universe has never, never, never disappointed me. Okay. And I truly believe that whatever it is that you want in life, you're gonna get it. Whatever that you desire, you're meant to desire for, you have that desire for a reason. You're meant to desire it, you're meant to get it. How you're gonna get it, it depends on how tight you are trying to hold on to how it's gonna happen. Because I always believe in this. I always believe that your job or our job as humans is to just worry or think about the why and the what. So why you want your desires, why you want certain things, and what do you exactly want in life? What are your desires? What are your dreams? What are your goals? The why and the how, why is why you want it, obviously you gotta know it. The how is gonna happen or when it's gonna happen is really up to the universe. Okay, just let it go. It's not up to your control. So I'll say this again. You only need to worry about the why you want certain things and what exactly do you want in life, and leave the how and the when to the universe. How it's gonna happen, when it's gonna happen, leave it to the universe, because you really don't need to worry about that. When you start to really believe, and when you are so clear and so certain about your why and your what, then the universe will deliver. Because literally what you're saying is that I want this, and why I want it, and why I want it so bad, show it to me. So I think this is like the most important lesson, especially, from winter to spring. This is a lesson that I've actually learned, and I hope that you guys actually take something out of today's episode. Let me know your spring season or your winter season, how it's like for you. Feel free to share them with me. I would love to be able to, give you a little bit of my 2 cents or my wisdom, and to just be able to talk about the different seasons in life, whether or not it's winter, spring, summer, fall, whatever it is. Just know that every season will come and go. You just gotta embrace and take the lessons that you have learned. Okay, every season's gonna come to an end. So if you're in your winter season, just know that it's gonna come to an end. Spring is about to happen, summer follows, and then fall and stuff like that. So I hope you enjoyed today's episode. I'll see you in next week in a different spot.